So if there really was like a super HD, you could probably see some like build up or.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the back. The back is where the game is given away entirely. Like it just gets real bedheady. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's bad.
Welcome to Highly Questionable. That's Pablo Torre's terrible hair. That's Clinton Yates, who's posing with a Fortnite toy for some reason. Let's do a show, shall we?
How dare you?
The side view was bad, Pablo.
It is bad.
don't turn that way.
It's not good.
Does Brett Favre have a point about Deshaun Watson, or is he just a crotchety old man?
Oh, are you surprised to hear Brett Favre's voice? I know you are, right? Because you were wondering to yourself, hey, what does 51-year-old Brett Favre have to say about young Deshaun Watson's trade request? Well, if you haven't heard it yet, here it is.
You get paid a ton of money to do a certain job and just do it and let the chips fall where they may. I think we make too much money to voice an opinion, but I'm not saying he's wrong. I think it's a different day and time. And it'll be interesting to see how the organization handles it.
I mean, way to try to soften that up on the back end by saying I don't think he's wrong. But here's an example of hypocrisy. Brett Favre used to play with a wide receiver named Javon Walker. He encouraged Javon to not clamor, to not get a new deal, to not hold out, and to play out his contract. Javon Walker then tore his ACL and never got that big money. So never mind that he also forced his way out of Green Bay via trade request. And so it makes you wonder why Brett Favre is even offering this. I have a question on this. What's the most money Brett Favre made in his career? Well, the most money he made annually was $16 million his last year. His big score was 10 years, $101 million. Deshaun Watson is currently making $39 million a year on average. So if Mr. Copperfit, if Mr. Any commercial possible I will take is probably chasing dollars, I'm guessing that $39 million price tag on Deshaun Watson has him, ringing a lot of jealousy in Brett Favre.
But hold on, Izzy. Brett Favre used to be just a kid out there. Now he's yelling at those kids to get off his lawn. This is very disappointing to me because I can stomach all of the bad takes, and he is slinging so many bad takes. Devontae Smith should go ahead of Trevor Lawrence in the draft. Like, none of these really make a ton of sense, but you did sort of hit on the central animating spirit of all of this, which is that Brett Favre is coming for our jobs. Like, the revenue stream he is most seeking is giving hot takes. And if he is doing this on purpose, he is brilliant. If he is doing it genuinely, he is awful and also very successful.
Coming for our jobs, some guy running around a tennis court in a backyard with Jerry Rice and his wife is not taking my job, especially when he's repaying money to the state of Mississippi that he claims he never knew he received. Okay, this is called grade A haterade from Brett Favre, and it's all there is to it. Come on, dog. Deshaun Watson is out here getting his paper. Leave him alone. Just because you can't find an endorsement for Grecian formula doesn't mean you should be wasting all our time with whatever it is you have to say. Come on, Favre. You're better than this, or maybe not.
I feel like it's hard for me to start lecturing anybody about what they put in their hair when I am looking like this today. But I will point out the fundamental hypocrisy, Clinton. You are totally right about that as well. Like, Brett Favre yelling at anybody to stop doing exactly what Brett Favre did. I mean, that's like Izzy telling people, hey, stop taking your shirt off so much.
I mean, look, you tried that last time and it worked. I'm not taking my shirt off this time. I will say this. You want a more crotchety older opinion. How about Dick Vermeil on ESPN Radio this morning saying, hey, I thought he was a better character than this when he was at Clemson. If he wants to say in ownership decisions, go buy a team. Wow.
What?
Yes.
Go buy a team? Yes, we would love to be counted in to all of the financial opportunities that so many other people have been availed of over the years in this country. Richard, yes, that would be a great option. Alas, that's not available. What? Oh, that upset me. I didn't even know that was happening.
I am shocked that 84 Dick Vermeil is out of touch with today's society.
NBA beef. Who you got? Paul George or Jared Dudley?
Wow, well, let me first say this. Jared Dudley put out a book A 42-page book, which is the exact size of book, the exact length of book I am here for. And in that book, he was upset that Paul George sort of put himself on the level of a Kawhi Leonard and a LeBron James and an Anthony Davis before actually winning anything, ignoring the fact that Anthony Davis won absolutely nothing before he teamed up with LeBron James. Here's the thing. It feels like Paul George is just low-hanging fruit at this point. Yes, he gave himself a nickname, Playoff P, and then performed poorly in the playoffs. But this is a guy who's won Most Improved. He's been in the top 3 in the MVP. He's gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost against who? Oh yeah, LeBron and his big 3. People picking at Paul George is not something I'm a fan of. I don't always love the way he responds, like when he complained about getting 1 free throw and calling it disrespectful. There's something there. There's some sort of disconnect that other players don't really want to embrace Paul George. But come on, the guy has had a fantastic career by any measure. Let's not pile on this guy.
Okay, there's 2 things at play here. Number one, I like Jared Dudley. Jared Dudley has a very intentful purpose on that team. The old guy who keeps the locker room together and keeps things light and organizes stuff literally on a social level for the team to keep them together. That's fine. The second thing that's happening, though, is that the upscale of like that weird mentality of you have to sort of talk trash just because you're on a team has gone to the full LA level, y'all. And this is the thing I've thought and I've realized since I've moved here that is very simple. Nobody talks about the Clippers more than Lakers fans. And in this case, nobody talks about the Clippers more than actual humans on the Lakers. This to me is not even just low-hanging fruit. This is a wayward shot in the distance that is completely pointless for Jared Dudley. I do not understand why you're taking the time out of your day to say anything about a guy who shot the ball off the side of a backboard to end the last playoffs. Like, this is not even necessary. It is. On some level, if Jared Dudley thinks that Paul George is beneath him on a championship level, this kind of trash talk is beneath Jared Dudley for me.
So I want to correct myself from the last topic we did. Brett Favre is not coming for our jobs. Jared Dudley is coming for our jobs. The guy has achieved something, guys, I didn't think I would see. He has officially entered the NBA into the audiobook beef era. Like, that is just, I mean, applause to him monetizing all sorts of mediums and streams of content. I will simply point out that Jared Dudley, the reason why he was doing this, Clinton, is to transparently try and cheaply motivate his team. It's not all that virtuous. It's probably not all that effective, honestly. It is very low-hanging fruit. It's so low, in fact, that if you go back and read the quote that Paul George said at Media Day at the beginning of last season that set off Jared Dudley and his associates, it was simply that Paul George was asked, hey, can you and Kawhi Leonard be the best duo in the NBA? And Paul George said, and I quote, brace yourselves here, I think so. That's what it was. Like, what did you expect Paul George to say? And meanwhile, Paul George is out here this season shooting 48% from 3. He has been awesome. Last year, he was coming off of shoulder surgery on both shoulders. This year, he's a lot better. I think that Jared Dudley is mostly, again, yes, trying to take our jobs.
If I may tackle another straw man, if I may, sorry, Clinton, tackle another straw man here, where Jared Dudley said the Clippers could win 8 straight championships and LA would still be a Lakers team. Nah. 8 straight championships is the best dynasty of all time. And you know what? People grow up and they forget things. The second LeBron's gone from LA, the second Anthony Davis is gone from LA, that would be the greatest team of all time. It doesn't matter where the Lakers are.
Jared Dudley and Associates is a show I would watch.
It would be really good.
Right, Pablo?
It would be really good.
Guys, it is sort of amazing that we were promised the battle for Los Angeles, Lakers, Clippers, LeBron versus Kawhi. And 1 year later, we have Paul George versus Jared Dudley.
And if I'm Paul George, I am so mad that I teamed up with the silent killer. Say something, Kawhi. Don't leave me out here on this island. You've got Jared Dudley attacking me. I need my shield.
Please say anything to make people forget that I nicknamed myself Playoff P.
Up next on HQ.
So while this obviously should not happen, I must admit, I am now slightly disappointed that this is not going to be able to go down in the way that I would like, because forget TNT, Bravo is who needs to show up with the cameras.
Quote in 3 minutes at easyaspie.com.
Is the NBA making a big mistake by moving forward with plans to have an All-Star game?
So the NBA and the NBA Players Association have agreed that March 7th in Atlanta, there will be, or could be, an NBA All-Star game. It sounds like the biggest mistake in the world if you're just on its surface. And if you ask some of the players, De'Aaron Fox said, it's a stupid idea. And to me, it just seems pretty obvious that the last thing you want to do is not only add more travel and add more potential COVID exposure to these players, but you definitely don't want to do it to the best players in your league. If there's a small outbreak during All-Star Weekend or whatever we're calling it, and you get 4 or 5 or 6 of those players to not play for 2 weeks, you're hurting your product, you're hurting your TV ratings for that next period of time. I understand the idea of keeping it in Atlanta, TNT, their staff, their crew, they don't have to travel, but what are we really asking for here? A dunk contest in an empty building, a 3-point shooting contest with no fans, an All-Star game with no fans? It's not enough of a reason to get that TV quick money grab from TNT for its All-Star Weekend, because it's just putting people in dangerous positions.
It is remarkable, Izzy, what's happened to the NBA. The NBA went from being at the vanguard of America's institutional response to the coronavirus. They had the bubble, they were the model citizens, and now they are heat checking and very much like every other sport, trying to get through this thing by rolling the dice and hoping, wait a minute, this week we had 0 positive tests. Maybe that's enough PR cover for us to go and say, we're on a good page. Let's just keep turning it. So for me, I always like to imagine if we were watching the documentary of our time, would we regret in retrospect everything we're doing? And this does feel like one of those risks, especially given how awful the virus response has been in the country, that we just shouldn't take. I know a dunk contest done in that sort of horse style that we sort of piloted 1 year ago, by the way, like that maybe isn't ideal, but I do feel like we can innovate without actually getting everybody in the same physical room.
A week ago, I would have said, do not talk to me about this because this is ridiculously pointless. It is also dangerous, and I have no intention of watching any of it with no fans. However, now I am wildly disappointed because I was looking for part 2 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta tryouts going down at the All-Star Game weekend, which, as we know, is peak socialite territory on the NBA schedule. So while this obviously should not happen, I must admit, I am now slightly disappointed that this is not going to be able to go down in the way that I would like, because forget TNT, Bravo is who needs to show up with the cameras if this actually happens, because that will be high quality content, take it from me, watcher of very high quality trash television content.
Are you ready to say that the Heat are trash?
Of course not. Of course not. If anybody's actually paying attention to this team, they have been ravaged by COVID. Jimmy Butler, who is getting all kinds of grief for not hitting a 3-point. Have you seen Jimmy Butler, guys? He's lost like 10, 15 pounds. He's skinny Jimmy. This team has not been together for a long period of time, and they're still trying to find a replacement at the power forward spot for Jay Crowder. This Heat team, by the time they got to the bubble last year, were a well-oiled machine. They'd had extra time to work together. They've been as healthy as they'd ever been, and it was Goran Dragic's best stretch of basketball as a player on the Miami Heat. They still need time to get this together. They have been ravaged by all these injuries. They've been playing people you've never heard of, like Max Strus and Gabe Vincent. I think outside of maybe the Dallas Mavericks, they probably have the 2 best cases for seasons that have been early seasons that have been demolished by COVID. No, I'm not ready to call it on the Miami Heat yet.
Excuse me. That was so disturbing that I had to sneeze. Do you know the team that has actually been affected the most in the NBA by COVID in terms of
the Wizards,
games?
but that's because they've been giving it to everybody else.
And guess who just beat them last night? The same team that also leads the league in fouls and technical fouls. I mean, come on, Izzy. Like, listen, I am not one to sit here and tout the gentrification gray uniforms that the Czars are now 2 straight wins in, all right? Nor am I going to say anything good about a team that traded away the most loved player in the city in a long time. However, there's one simple idiom that works for this NBA season. If you lose to the Zards, you suck. And that is the case right now.
So the Brooklyn
for sure.
Nets, the team everybody's saying is going to make it to the finals. They're terrible, you say, huh?
How did
Right
we
now?
get
Yes.
how did we get to a point where we are arguing Wizards Heat on national television? How is this the best use of our time? Let me introduce an actual winning franchise into this equation this season.
Oh, Lord.
You know who has hit more than 0 3-pointers? I'll give you 2 words. Ben Simmons. Yes. Yes, Israel. Ben Simmons, better 3-point shooter than Mr. Culture, Jimmy Butler. How's that culture taste?
Well, let's check again in April, see whether Joel Embiid is on a basketball court or in a hotel room somewhere watching his team, and we'll see. The thing about the Miami Heat is, again, they were a machine. They do not have a system where one guy can take over. They are adjusting. Bam Adebayo is growing. They can't decide where they want to give him the ball, give somebody else the ball. And again, people coming off injuries. This team is going to look entirely differently February, March, April. Just relax.
Do you guys know who else has more 3-pointers than Jimmy Butler? Ben Simmons' teammate, Dwight Howard.
Oh, the white,
Oh, man.
the athlete.
.com.
Clinton, I'd just like to welcome you. You are now officially a part of the highly questionable Hall of Sneezes, which is now brought to you by Heat rookie Precious Achiuwa.
Look at this cartoon the Charlotte Observer put out, and here's what's happening here that I
Hold it.
find most interesting. Everyone saw it. This is an admission of guilt. Hey, unfortunate timing.
Something going on, but that's all right.
It's going to be hard for them to turn him down, but it's also going to be hard for them to
That hair is amazing.
No, please air the face, please.
I'm not ready to call it on the Miami Heat yet.
Excuse me. That was so disturbing that I had to sneeze.
I will say Clinton's was the most casual. He powered through it. You know, well,
and change the way you move.
Do you question if Sean Payton will ever get over not getting Patrick Mahomes in the draft?
well, it doesn't seem like it. He was on Good Morning Football discussing that particular draft where Patrick Mahomes went 10th, and he, meaning the Saints, picked Marshawn Lattimore at number 11. Here is Sean Payton telling that story.
We came away from there like just blown away, impressed. I know I had made the comment that that's the best quarterback, that's the best college quarterback I've ever evaluated. And so then you're just trying to like stealth out of the airport with no one seeing you, not stopping at a coffee shop, not getting any picture taken. You're just on to the next school like we didn't even go there. And yeah, you know, there were all the other checks, all the other things that you can't see on video. His personality is fantastic. He's one of those guys that's probably always hanging out in the gym when he was in high school. He comes from an athletic family. He's got a bright smile. You know, I mean, it was all there. And to see the success he's having, we were picking 11. Andy went to 10. And as soon as that trade took place, we knew that was for Mahomes.
I mean, two people who probably don't want to hear any of that. One, Drew Brees, like, dude, I was a pass interference penalty away from getting us to another Super Bowl there. And the other one is Cliff Kingsbury. When everybody keeps saying that this was the best quarterback they've ever seen in college, and what was his record there? I don't know.
Sub
I think
500.
Kingsbury's just like, relax, everybody, relax. He wasn't that good in college.
I can't think about anything other than what was going on in the background. Can we please get another look at this? Let us look at Sean Payton's laundry situation. This is a man who puts T-shirts on hangers, and it looks as if that little basket underneath is probably every single piece of clothing he owns. Is that possible? Look at this. Look at this. He's got all sorts of stuff going on in the background. I mean, why would you put a T-shirt on a hanger? I don't understand this. I'm
Pablo,
sorry.
We're going to have to start asking producers to just put green screens behind the people talking, because this is 2 days in a row now where Clinton's just focused on the background and not paying any attention to the subject matter at hand. Come on, man.
I mean, look, Sorry.
Clinton, I'm doing television in front of my bed. Like, this is, you know what? I mean, I should not do this. Liz is gonna be very mad at me, but like, yeah, man, you wanna hamper? There's a bunch of hampers. That's where the magic happens. Or in my case, hasn't happened in a while.
Well, I actually just got a home studio put into my master bedroom, so I will be making TV magic where the magic happens.
In Bergen County, New Jersey, high school baseball practice.
All right, I want to put a name on the screen down here, okay? And I want you to say it in your head the way you believe it's supposed to be said. You ready? There it is. Unfortunately, no, it's not Taiwan Malone. It's Taiwan Malone.
Oh.
And I was so excited when it was Taiwan Malone. I had this whole bit. He's a 6'4", 300+ pound defensive tackle who, oh, by the way, happens to play first base in baseball and hits these ridiculous moonshots. He's committed to Ole Miss. Look at this guy, guys. Woo. Taiwan, unfortunately, Malone. Pablo, are you intrigued?
I am extraordinarily intrigued, mostly because I feel like it should be illegal in New Jersey for that young man to have a metal bat in any circumstance. But yes, very intrigued.
How about you, Clinton? This is your wheelhouse.
I am more than intrigued. I'm the guy on IG watching all of these prospects.
You
all
are.
right, because this is what I care about the most. And let me tell you something. Ole Miss, fun program. You might recall, if we can get the video, them winning a game last season on a strike him out, throw him out, my favorite play in all of baseball, and then their middle infield executing the best high five I've seen in college baseball history in my life. So when that fun guy goes to that fun program, we have what we like to call a great situation. Okay, I don't care what his name is. I don't care if he's hitting balls into the middle of the pine trees in other fields that nobody cares about. Okay, this dude is the real deal. And Ole Miss has a couple different two-sport stars that play baseball and football, so he's got a little side squad as well.
Hey, kids, you see, there is still an audience for high school and college baseball. It is Clinton Yates. Go play baseball. That's all the time we have for today. You can check out Pablo daily on ESPN Daily and check out a column Clinton Yates wrote on The Undefeated about, Clinton?
The Chicago Cubs, Ernie Banks, and Buck O'Neil, and mentorship in the community.
Check that out.